Hi there, students. So today we have a chance to finish up our painting, which of course is a monochromatic, non-objective, abstract expressionist painting. All right, so if you look at mine, I have painted in everything except for the background. But if you were unable to finish painting in some of these different spots, since we want to keep our project dry today, you have a few options for how to fill in any spots that you might have missed. You can use a marker, you can use a crayon, or you can use a colored pencil. And of course, we want to be choosing tools that are sticking within that monochromatic color scheme, so that one color that you chose to start the project. Since I have actually colored in everything besides my background, I'm actually going to just stick with one of these tools. I'm choosing the colored pencil because I like the texture and the coverage that I can get with that. Since this is a fairly big space, I'm probably going to either need a couple of the same one or a sharpener to sharpen those. So I'm going to start coloring in my background with my colored pencil, and I will be doing that with a time lapse. Just a quick moment to point out that the first thing I like to do when I'm coloring in my background is I do just a rough outline of every single shape. I find that putting that outline on there makes it so that I can move my pencil much more quickly when I'm filling in the rest of the background. Okay, time lapse, here we go. So as you can see, I've got a decent layer of coverage on the background, and I was able to do it pretty fast. Even in non-time lapse time, I probably say this took me like 5 minutes or less. But you probably notice that it looks a little rough, right? I have kind of the grain of what direction I was coloring is kind of all over the place. And so what I am going to do as a way to sort of clean this up is I'm going to actually go back over it one more time. And this time I'm really going to try to use like the side of a really sharp colored pencil, because that's going to give me a wider or more broad coverage. So I'm going to just finish that up now. All right, so I'm pretty happy with how that looks. You can see that there's very little white poking through, and I'd say that's pretty good coverage. You could really spend a lot of time on this to get it perfect, but what I'm really looking for is that you overall have a fairly even looking coat of that background color. At this point, we will pause the video so that students can color in their background and any shapes that they didn't get colored in last time with a monochromatic color scheme. The last thing that's going to really help clean this up is to trace your lines with the Sharpie. And what I mean is any single pencil line that you drew on that first day, those are the lines that we're going to trace with the Sharpie. So that means the ones that are like right here touching the background, and even some of these ones that are inside right here. So I'm going to do that step next, and then this project should be done. All right, so this project is looking done. A couple of things I'll point out about that black Sharpie. When you are doing the Sharpie on top of the paint, that Sharpie is going to dry out really fast on you. So one technique that I would recommend is Sharpie the outside of the paint first, anything that's touching your background, and really try to keep that Sharpie marker on the outside edge of the paint so that it's mostly just touching the paper. Do those outlines first, and then as a very last step, you can get those tiny ones where you're drawing right on top of the paint. You're probably going to go through more than one Sharpie as you do this, and that is fine. It doesn't permanently dry them out, it just temporarily dries them out. So it's okay with me if you sit with a few Sharpies at your table and just cap them and leave them at your table when they dry out. Do not throw them away though, because once those sit with the cap on them for a few hours, they should re-moisten and be good to use. Another technique is don't push super hard with the Sharpie when you're on the paint. Just try to let it kind of glide over the top. And of course you can adjust your Sharpie by kind of rolling it every now and then so that you're drawing with a different part of the tip every inch or so. So just a few techniques to keep your Sharpies from drying out. Even though it does that to the Sharpies, I think it's still worth it because it cleans up the look of the project. And there you're done. You have a monochromatic, non-objective, abstract expressionist work of art. Good work, everyone.